Hi, and welcome back to the best thing you watched this week. We're back with the best thing we watched this week, all things in TV series, movies. We've got a lot to talk about this week. It feels like it's been quite an action-packed week. Some stuff we're going to talk about is not necessarily the best thing we watched, but it's something that we want to talk about. So that'll be in there. In the podcast section, only section, we're going to be talking about, we're going to do a deep dive into Netflix's extravaganza, Netflix Geeked Week. There's a lot to unpack there, as well as kind of the stuff that hit entertainment news this week. There's been a lot going on around the world. It seems like it was a fairly busy week. Patreon, we're going to be doing our top 5 worst posters for movies, personally. So if you want to support us there and go check out what you think are the worst poster movies ever. And I believe we're going to try and do the following week the 5 top best poster movies. So this is the week. We're going to balance it with the best the following week. So that should be a lot of fun. But before we get into Chris from Movies and Munchies, Ruben, myself, I'm going to be doing something that we're going to start weekly now, because Chris has something with the question, which I thoroughly enjoy, and it's always a nice conversation starter. But I'm going to be doing movie quotes for those that are listening and watching. Those that can guess, the first people on either video, if you're listening on video, or comment, the first ones we see, and Chris and I will talk amongst ourselves. We'll do a shout out, maybe do a couple of names and say, well done, you guessed the movie quote. So I'll do a couple and see which ones you guess. Let's see if Chris can get it. Help me to help you. Help me to help you. You are treading on a very thin line, and I dig that about you. Help me to help you. Help me to help you.
You're starting off with an easy one, and I appreciate that you're doing a voice too.
All right. I got that one. I'm not even going to finish this line. This is a little bit older film. It is quite widely known, but see if you can guess where it's from. Here's looking at you. That's all I'm saying.
Mickey.
Exactly. Here's looking at you, Mickey.
That was disturbing. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Okay, so those are my movie questions. Jump down in the comments below. Let us know what you think those two are from. The first one should be fairly easy. I'm guessing it's depending on your kind of age demographic there as to which of those you get. Maybe a little bit harder, even if you Googled them. I think the first one you'll get easily. The second one, a little bit trickier. But Chris, hi.
Hi.
What is your question?
Okay. So if somebody offered you $10,000 every time they punched you in the face, how many times would you want to be hit?
So, because you didn't stipulate how heavy-handed the punch is, I would say until I got bored, because I would say just punch me really, really softly as fast as you can for the next hour, and if they could handle it, and then I'd be set for life. But if there was a stipulation of Mike Tyson, right, and he's punching you, I'd be like, I think one punch from Mike Tyson would kill me. So none.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't be able to spend that 10,000. What would you choose?
Yeah. I had not thought about, like, do I get to choose who punches me? Because my thought is, I mean, I would ask who's punching me, because if it's like, was it Drago? Yeah. I don't want to be punched by him. And Mike Tyson either, because you're right. At one punch, I'm dead. That's not even covering my funeral. Right. So that's a lose-lose situation right there. But if I got some toddler off the street, bring it on. You know what I mean? And as I'm just going to try and move my face a little bit so they don't hit me square on the nose. Yeah. But yeah, I think, I mean, even if a regular person, I would not want to be punched in the head very much.
Well,
but
there's brain injury, isn't there?
Yeah, well, yeah. My wife's dad, when he was alive, he was a like a semi-pro boxer.
Nice. Or not
and
nice, depending.
I've never understood that. I mean, boxing is a brutal sport, and I mean, where you're actively you're engaged with somebody who is hitting you in the face.
Yeah, that,
I mean, that's
that
their
Will
goal.
Smith
I mean,
film Concussion gives you a bit of idea of the damage it does to your skull and your brain. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and heck, I mean, gosh, we have Rocky IV, right? That just at the very beginning there. Adrian! I mean, I know, you keep. Yeah, you keep your hands up, so that you don't get hit in the face. But my luck would be they'd punch my hand and I'd punch myself.
Double whammy.
I'm just not,
2 for the price of 1.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, I think it comes down. You're right. To who is punching me. If it was you, if you and I were to punch each other and we didn't have to pay each other, bring it on. Let's go. I got a week. We'll just sit there.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
So, who would you want to punch you, or who wouldn't you want to punch? Well, that's probably a larger list, And how many rounds do you think you could last, or how many punches do you think you could last before you just called it quits?
I mean, it
depends
who's getting punched. So if you're asking like a UFC fighter, they're going to be like, "Cool, go for it." Like I've trained for this.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're not even using like the big boxing gloves. I mean, they're using the tiny little, it's almost bare. Oh gosh, yeah. Which I love watching those fights. I mean, some of those fights are just incredible.
It's the skill that goes into it, the dodging, the diving, the wrestling, the groundwork, and then those really cool moves that everybody waits to see if they connect, and when they do, it's spectacular. Yeah, love it.
Yeah. Well, in 2 movies that popped into my head and they're the same. They're basically the same movie, but wildly different executions. One is much more of a comedy and then a feel good, and one is just a drama, straight up drama with a wonderful message and feeling at the end. But you have Warrior and Here Comes the Boom.
I thought you were going to go Never Back Down, and Here Comes the Booth. But yeah, Warrior is great as well. Yeah,
I've never seen Never Back Down. Is that another
it's
UFC type?
It's really fun. Yeah, it's not as serious as Warrior. It's like the middle of those 3, really. Yeah.
Oh, so a good trilogy then.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. Well, there you go. There's a freebie for you if you're looking for a UFC or a fighting movie. That's one to check, or 3 to check out, really. Oh, okay.
Should we get started?
Tangents?
Started?
Yeah, I think so.
Let's get it started. Watch the monetization go. Let's get it started.
Just down, right? Yeah, no, you can't. Hey, we're singing that. No artist is, so it's okay. You can't claim it. Yeah. All right. What's at the top of your list?
I haven't ranked anything because I actually watched a lot this week that I really enjoyed. The first one, I'm going to shout out to Warner Brothers, who sent us the 4K The Batman.
Ooh, that's
very
nice.
So it has like the Blu-ray inside of it, obviously the 4K, and a whole disc on special features.
That's
which
fun.
had me really excited. So my boys hadn't seen it; they didn't go to the cinema to watch it. So we stuck on the 4K last night, and activated the Atmos surround sound, and just went dark. And the comments from my 2 sons were amazing because I got them to not look at screens for 3 hours because it's a long movie, right? If you remember.
Yeah.
And they were like, wow, this is a Batman noir detective. Like, they didn't expect it to be that, but they absolutely loved it. And I've got to say, I thought I really enjoyed it the first time. I liked it even more the second time. I came away going, that's a brilliant movie. So there's things that stick out to you the second time. But for me, what makes it special now, owning it, is all like those special features. There's a whole hour documentary called Vengeance in the Making, which just goes way behind the scenes from right back at the beginning of 2020 when they thought they were only going to be shooting for 5 months because that was like COVID, but it was just starting, and then obviously we had everything, and it took ages. But it chronicles like everything they had to go through, how hard the shoot actually was. You get you think you know how hard it was until you watch the documentary. You're like, damn, they put a lot of time and effort. Then you got things like the Batman Genesis, becoming Catwoman, looking for vengeance, anatomy of a car chase, that big explosion, how they did that. The wingsuit, that was very interesting because of why they chose the wingsuit rather than having Batman's cape, you know, be flying and iconic like that. They go into how they did that. The transformation, the makeup of the Penguin, fantastic. Like, because because Colin Farrell, like, every time I tell my wife, she says that's Colin Farrell. And she's like, what? It literally is a, what? And we know we're getting a series from that, so I'm very much looking forward to that. Deleted scenes with the director's commentary is hilarious because it's so much more insight. And I had no idea that the director sounded like that. I had no idea his voice was so high pitched. Matt Reeves, really? I'd never heard him, so I was very taken back. And he's so passionate, but with this high voice, I was like, oh, okay, fine. My brain was like, but yeah. So it's got the street date. Well, year in the UK, it's June 13th. It's Dolby Digital Atmos, like true HD on the 4K, Atmos on the Blu-ray, Dolby Digital on the DVD. And man, it's one of my favorite editions. Like now, having seen it with teens who loved it. My wife, who's not a Batman fan, who loved it even more the second time around. And I loved it the second time. I was like, this is a must buy. You've got to own this. It's so good.
Outstanding. Yeah. I have not seen it. Yes, I haven't seen it, even though it's out on HBO Plus or HBO Max right now. Yeah, I just haven't had the time to carve out to watch that. But I will, because if it's just as good or better the second time
you forget because you hype up a film like this as being so hyped up, and I think that often takes some of it away. You're like crazy going, that's Batman, I get to see Batman again on screen, and you come out and you're like, that was good, now what? There's like an anti-climax. But now you come back and you own it, and you can just really enjoy every second, and then you get to go into those special features. I really love like looking behind the creativity of it. I guess if you're passionate about film, a lot of people, like whether you're making film or just super into film, you'll want the commentary and stuff, and it's packed. It's not light. Even the Blu-ray has its own special features on the disc. Yeah, wow. So it's good. It's a good buy.
Nice. Rock on.
Wow. Yeah. So now that I finished gushing about the 4K, the Batman, because I'm Batman, I was going to wear my Batman costume, but it's so hot in here. You know, we were talking about the weather earlier. It wouldn't have been attractive. I just had streams of sweat coming down my face because I'm Melt Man. Yeah.
There you go. Ooh, is that a character? Is that a DC villain? It could be.
You owe me money. Yeah.
Right.
I came up with that idea first. There's probably a Melt Man, to be honest. I mean, if there's a Condiment Man, there's a Melt Man.
Yeah, that's true. Well, if Condiment Man and Melt Man got together, I mean, they could make like grilled cheese and be good to go.
I am hungry, Chris.
Oh, well, there you go. Oh, man.
So what's at the top of your list?
Well, gosh, I there's two that I'm going to briefly touch on. One is one I'm not even going to go into, but I took my family this week to see Top Gun Maverick. And I was the only one that had seen it, and they all loved it. I mean, we're just, my wife, it was so funny. She's, when we get to the third act where we're getting up to the climax, she's like this sitting in the theater because she's nervous. Yeah. I mean, she's like, she doesn't know what to do with some of this energy. And it's, we're in a theater, so we're having to, you have to be somewhat quiet, but so it was great. It was great to see them enjoy it. And I loved it just as much. I mean, it was a blast. Even though I know what's coming up, I'm like, I was still on the edge of my seat the whole time. So totally, if you have seen it, go see it again. If you haven't seen it, and definitely go see it. The other one, I really want to talk about more next week, but I want to tease it this week because I sat down and watched it again this last night. My wife had already seen this movie, but my oldest and his wife came over, and so we watched, and it's called Brian and Charles. And it's an indie film that was picked up by Focus Features, and it hits theaters, at least in the US, this week. And
you've talked about this before. I swear I've heard you talk about this before.
Yeah, I've talked about a little bit, just briefly. Like it's
not out yet. Yeah,
it's no, yeah. It'll be this week, minimum.
So why do you like this so much?
The feeling.
Okay.
It is sweet without being schmaltzy. Like it's genuine. It puts a genuine smile on your face.
Like Ted Lasso.
Yeah. And it has a like the cinematography too is beautiful.
Okay.
But the whole, yeah.
So you're going to go into that next week?
Next week, yeah, we'll dive into
nice.
that. So I've talked about two things that I'm not going to talk about.
Okay.
You know what? One thing that caught me off guard this week was Hustle with Adam Sandler.
I'm so glad you brought this up. Dude,
did you get
I didn't review it, but
it?
I watched it with headphones on, and Kirsten's doing an exam next to me, and I'm just going, oh, damn, no. Like, the emotions I was feeling. Go on, tell me what you felt about this film.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so we've seen, if you saw Uncut Gems, whether you like that movie or not, Adam Sandler brought it when it came to the drama. I mean, he was intense in that movie, and he was awesome. And so I was really looking forward to seeing him in another dramatic role where he's not over the top, trying to push his comedy, which has been waning on me quite a bit. You know, the whole Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore stuff, it had its place, but I'm done with that.
It's old now. Yeah, it doesn't work anymore.
Exactly. And it just becomes grating, you know?
Yeah.
And so I wanted to see him more in this serious role because I think like many comedic actors who go drama, they can still infuse their humor within it.
Yeah, exactly.
And it works.
And that comes across as genuine then because they're human. Yes. They're reacting in a sarcastic way to alleviate some of the pain they're feeling. And he nails it.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I'm not a sports guy. I mean, I can enjoy sports with groups of people if it's like the collective experience. You know, I'm not anti-sports. It's not something I gravitate towards or like, you know, it doesn't dominate our weekends or anything else.
Yeah.
So I'm not always drawn to sports movies, but more often than not, sports movies are very inspirational. And that's what I gravitate towards them for that, like the whole inspiration, the feel good, that building of emotion type of thing where, you know, you're either overcoming an odd or you're just learning to work together, whatever it is, you know, it typically has this really good swell of emotion that leaves you feeling good. Even if some of the climax or the conflict within there is not good. You know, if it's distasteful or if it's something that makes you conflicted inside or it's unjust or whatever that is, doesn't really matter. Adam Sandler I thought he was very reserved in what he was doing. Like he was, you know, he had some comedic moments in it, but like you said, they came across as genuine. They felt human. They were just, the dynamic between him and the basketball player that he is scouting, that he has brought over to America, that father-son relationship that was so good. And I felt that it amped it up even more because the player himself didn't have a father figure. And it's not so much that it had to be a father. I mean, because he had a strong mother and who loved him and they had a wonderful relationship. So the kid wasn't lacking in a positive relationship aspect. It was just, there was a different dynamic there, you know, and because you saw it, Adam Sandler had that relationship with Robert Duvall.
Exactly.
We get it.
Oh my gosh. And he's only on screen for 2 minutes. And I ate every moment up between them. Yeah.
And he gets to, in that we get all of the context we need, right? That it sets up, it translates so much to us, which then is expanded upon through the relationship between Adam Sandler and Bo. And so so we see it minimally with Robert Duvall and Sandler, and then boom, bigger. And it just, I mean, the emotion in it, you know, the movie's predictable. Which didn't bother me though. I mean, I knew where the arc was going, you know, it was, what other thing that I liked a lot was the dynamic and the relationship they showed between Adam Sandler and Queen Latifah.
Literally just going to bring that up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very believable.
Right. Queen Latifah plays his wife. They have a daughter. That relationship was so nice to see, that it's not this antagonistic relationship, that it is very supportive, even amidst adversity. That there is conflict between them. They don't see eye to eye on a lot of things, and yet they still work as a team. And I thought that was just...
It's so weird. I think that's why, well, for me personally, I felt like, wow, this is so counter Hollywood in a way, because as often they don't show healthy relationships, because apparently that isn't normal anymore. We don't get any healthy relationships. But hang on a second, we do. And they show this even through, like you're saying, adversary. Like, they go through some stuff that's going to change their future. That could mean whether they eat next month, that kind of stuff. But they get angry, but then they work it out, And when I first saw the cast, Adam Sandler and Queen Latifah playing husband and wife, I was like, obviously, my brain couldn't gel the two. I was like, I've never seen them act together, and they feel like they do very different roles. So I was like, how's that going to work? But if they're good, I like both of them. Let's see what they do. And I just thought it was great, as well as the daughter. I thought their relationship was interesting. So we got these dynamics. We're going father and son, surrogate son, or surrogate father. We got daughter was not estranged, but struggling herself, trying to find her place in the world, loving what the father does. And then she gets kind of caught up in his world and finds her place a little bit there. And it's all these moving pieces, but it manages to keep the central focus being about like people, being about family, and what is your family at the end of the day? It's your blood, but also those people you surround yourselves with. And I think it showcases that well. So though it's a sports movie, it's really a movie about people.
Yeah, there was a great deal of humanity shown within there, especially at like you hear, and it's small moments too. That's the thing. Like, I know that Adam Sandler is going to do a certain thing when we get to the combine area of the movie, because we've seen the player struggling and things like that. And so it's a predictable arc, and yet the emotion that comes from the decency of the character and what he does and what he says and how he treats this person, he's under, like, you take Adam Sandler's character, he's under a great deal of stress. And then the player, is under a great deal of stress, and so they're both carrying this, and there's going to be some conflict between them, but Adam Sandler being able to identify that and then choose an action that alleviates some of that. The movie was, like, I had a blast with it. The basketball scenes were exciting.
Very.
I thought it was, when you have, because it's not really showing NBA during games. I mean, this is all behind the scenes. This is pre-NBA.
I think that was a very clever way to go. We're not showing the matches. We're showing them get to a place where you can do this as your career, and all the drama that entails in between. I think it was a smart idea to have a couple of enemies that we could hate, so we could support our protagonist. So we had the guy that running the company for Adam Sandler. What's his name? Ben Foster? Yeah. He was excellent. Like, he felt threatening. He felt like he was going to assassinate you, sort of. The look he gets.
He's just a jerk,
just tense. Yeah, absolute jerk. And then we have the other basketball player for our protagonist who says nasty things about your family. It's like, I'm not sure I would have been able to handle myself, some of the stuff he was saying. That was... I was getting my back up. Like, don't you dare say that. That is so wrong.
Sorry, Coach, my elbow slipped. I can't believe it. I accidentally hit him in the face like that. I'm sorry.
I accidentally pounded on him several times, Coach. Sorry.
It's a twitch.
Yeah. It's a twitch. It's a new thing. I need to see the doctor about it.
The transitions. There were some transitions during the some of the training montages. Which I absolutely loved. Like, they were creative, where Bo would pass the ball, and as the motion goes, the camera would then switch to a different scene with Bo receiving the pass, and I just thought, that's kind of cool. I mean, they didn't overuse it, which I was thankful for, because it, becomes cheap then.
But I imagine that's something when you're going into making this film, like, okay, we've got a lot of basketball to show. How are we going to keep the viewer's attention without cutting too many times, without like doing all the tropes that just make it bad filmmaking? And so you come up with a technique like that. And then, like you say, don't overuse it. Very clever. I feel like this is, once again, is going to be a film that is shunned at the Oscars. And once again, I feel like it should at least be mentioned or nominated. Adam Sandler is understated but brilliant. And I feel like understated roles often get just, oh yeah, he was all right. That kind of thing. Yeah, and it's a sports drama. We've got loads of those. Yeah.
Well, and I think there's that bad taste, which is, maybe I'm using that incorrectly, but that Adam Sandler is seen as the juvenile humor guy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Just the stupid.
So because
laughing.
He's done Happy Madison films way before, which is associated with that, he can't be a good actor to do drama.
Yeah. That makes no sense, because they will nominate people with their very first role when they're young. Ugh. And like, well, you don't even have a track record of showing any type of range. I mean, this performance was wonderful. So, I mean, yes, we can recognize you for this, because it's not a lifetime achievement. I mean, the award ceremony is singular. Yeah. It's right there in time. So he needs some recognition, because I think, I mean, Uncut Gems was like on a whole nother level for that guy.
Yeah.
And
I wasn't a huge fan of the film, but I think his acting was phenomenal in it.
Yeah, most of my family hated the film.
Yeah.
We went, because it was my birthday, and so I got to choose the movie, and so I chose that, and so they had to go along with me. But yeah, most of them did not like that at all. I was stressed the entire time through it. It was not an enjoyable watching experience from a physical and a mental standpoint, but I was blown away by the movie. So yeah, there you go. Okay.
Nice. Great choice.
Okay. Rambling over here.
Okay. I'm going to talk about a film now that you wouldn't have this in your list for best thing you watched this week. And a lot of other people wouldn't have this in their list. A few weeks ago, I watched the original trilogy and loved it. Saw lots of issues this time around, like because they're aged. I'm not mentioning the titles just yet. And then, what was it? Thursday night, I watched parts 1 and 2 to get ready for the new part. And of course, I'm talking about Jurassic World Dominion, which just came out. And just to put this in context, because Chris realized that with this score, because you didn't like it, you are with the critics in Rotten Tomatoes that gave it 31% out of 280 reviews. So that's low. But the audience...
That's really low.
Gave it 80% with 2,500 reviews. And CinemaScore just came out and gave it an A-. So it's huge in diverging. So some people went into this film expecting art and a cohesive storyline, and if you're expecting that from Jurassic World trilogy, I don't know what film you're expecting to see, because that's definitely not what you're getting here. I went in to see dinosaurs, Jeff Goldblum's chest hair, Sam Neill, old meets new, and blue, and I got all of those things and more. And I was really, really happy. So tell me why you didn't like it.
Well, okay, wait. So I gave it a 3.
Okay, that's not terrible
for me.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of down the middle.
Yeah, I didn't hate on this movie. There are a lot of problems to it that I felt, but there's also just the enjoyment. Like the action scenes, I thought really worked. I thought those were a lot of fun. I do wish, though. So this is going to be like a lot of positive plus negative. And it's hard not to, and it's probably not fair, but I'm going to anyway because it's within the world. But hard to not compare it to the original one, Jurassic Park, not Jurassic World, but Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking about this, there's some wonderful action scenes in Jurassic World Dominion. What it's lacking, though, is a good amount of quieter, patient tension building. There are one or two scenes that we have that, which I appreciate, because you don't know if something bad is going to happen. If it's just, you go.
You didn't feel like any of the characters were going to die. When in the first one, you think all the characters are going to die.
Right. There are so many scenes within the first movie that it takes its time, and the action comes and the excitement comes from some of that release that happens. There are some chase scenes in there. There are definite, it is a very tense movie. This one I didn't feel was very tense. Now, there was one where Bryce Dallas Howard is walking into this swamp area, and she's going very slowly as this brutal, I don't even know, big giant chicken is coming after her with talons. And I liked that scene because I also didn't know what was in the water. Yeah. So there is a great deal of tension within that. So that was a good one. Most of the other times, though, it's just action, 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 which, again, is exciting. But I never felt like peril. Yeah. No, I didn't really. So that I liked. Oh, gosh.
Well, I'll tell you what I liked, and then you can think about your other points. Okay, so the fact that they changed the design of the dinosaurs to what dinosaurs would actually look like. There's one line in the dialogue. They said, no, we're no longer splicing. This is the original DNA. Didn't go into the science of how they now are possible to do that. But now we get those like velociraptors with feathers. This is one scene. Actually, I thought that was fairly tense, actually. There's a downed plane. We've got our new character, which is kind of an Andy Jones character. I really liked her, actually. I thought she was good. Unfortunate she's like in the last one. So this whole snow scene, and it's like this raptor does things you don't expect it, jumping in the ice. I thought that was really good. Like, I wanted more of that kind of scene. The clever with like unbelievability. There's locusts that are mutated, and then they catch on fire, and it was beautiful to look at. I was like, oh, well, that's cool. You've just lit on the entire forest. And, great. How are they not dead by the time you're like, why do they keep flying? It's like, what is happening?
I think because there were like millions of them.
Yeah, maybe. Okay.
That's like the momentum of them like around. So there's enough of them that are not on fire at that moment to travel. That's what I'm choosing to believe, because otherwise it makes no sense.
Okay. So sorry, people. Spoilers. Maybe Chris can cut a spoiler warning in, because
we'll add that. We'll add a big spoiler warning in the chapter markers.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Spoilers. Cool. Jeff Goldblum, I think when I said I thought nobody was going to die, I thought he was going to die when he held up the flare. And I thought, this would be a really interesting way to get rid of, because it's the last one. You could potentially kill off characters. And it was like a nice callback to when he got smashed onto the toilet, right? With the, they're over here. I thought it was great. A really nice juxtaposition of, this is the last one. Let's remember. The thing is, I remember when they did it perfectly, and now you're doing it okay. Didn't quite have that tension like the first one had. So you're always going backwards. You can't help but compare it to the first, which I get. There were things that they called back to. So like all throughout the series, we've had things like the T-Rex. He's been like, it's weird. He's kind of been the hero of the film with Blue. Like, whenever they're in trouble, T-Rex comes in with Blue and saves the day, especially in the world ones. What do you call them? Jurassic World rather than Jurassic Park.
Jurassic World, yeah.
But one of my favorite things that they did, Dobson, we got Dobson over here.
See, nobody cares.
When Goldblum, and I have to say Goldblum stole the movie. Come on, every time.
Yes,
he was brilliant.
Every time.
He went, Dobson. And it was so funny when we get to that callback and that character dies the same way as Dobson from the and I was like, oh man.
That's nice.
Yeah. What's up with you guys? Oh man. And you even see the can of shaving foam, which is another thing that he had. Sorry, I keep interrupting you. I got lots to say about this one.
No. I'm interrupting. You keep going. I'm loving it.
Yeah, my notes are extensive. I thought the score was excellent. I think people often forget how great Giovanni's. Did I say that right? Giacchino. His score is, but it was fantastic. Really, kind of crescendo. Sometimes carries the film in places where it needs to, which is not great. Thought cinematography in places like mentioning with the fire, the sky on fire was beautiful to look at. But also there was a swampy area. Mm-hmm. And that was beautiful to look at. I wanted more of that. I think, like you, I wanted more of those quieter moments. So when Dallas, what's her name?
Bryce
Dallas Howard is down in the server room, and all the dead crickets are there. I thought that was a really great tense scene, but it went over so quickly, and then we're back into the action. I really wanted the kind of the hand on the shoulder moment down there. I thought if you're going to call back to all those, you could have done something like that. That would have been great. Really nice to see Sam Neill. Well, what's his name? His character, Grant.
Alan
Grant.
Yeah.
And my names are just
Ellie
Sattler. I thought it was a bit cheeky that the way they just wrote out her husband. But at the same time, I've wanted them to be together since the first movie, right?
Yes.
And like that's the yeah, it's cheesy, yeah, it's Hollywood, but just let me have this one. Just one, like let me have one happy ending. A nice, really great arc for Bryce Dallas Howard's character. If you think back, because I've seen them so recently, she, at the first one, she almost didn't like dinosaurs. She forgot she was just there, the businesswoman, running around in high heels, kind of uppity woman. Now she's running around in boots, and she has a really great relationship with our protagonist that looks after dinosaurs, well, particularly Blue, and a clone of sorts. And I thought, nice family unit. Her character has come a long way to me going, I didn't really like her, now I care about her. And their relationship was much more believable rather than just quick quirks and some sort of chemistry. Now it's like, I believe them as a couple. It does close the chapter. And I was thinking about, for a director, this must have been a hell of a task to take the original trilogy, his trilogy, well, the world ones and the park ones. You're not closing off just one trilogy, you're closing off two and potentially the franchise for a good few years. So the weight of that is immeasurable. And just think about how you go about doing that. I think in terms of that was a mammoth task. It could have been way worse. I think people have taken it for granted what a mammoth task that is. Like to put to bed such a beloved series, to pay homage to the originals, to bring those other characters that we've not seen since the first one, all of them on screen together. Like we haven't seen that. They've individually been in films, but not together properly for the first time. And then to marry those characters so that it's kind of believable that they would cross each other's paths with movie magic. So all of that, I thought, that I don't know how I would have handled that. That's an incredibly tough. The script must have gone over so many iterations without it being like just, how do we actually do this? Get them there from A to B, but include the T-Rex, the raptors, the storyline. Let's put to bed this guy and this guy. We also had those weird, the world now is mixed up with dinosaurs and we can't undo that no matter what we want because of the black market, which I loved. One of my favorite scenes in the film, the black market underground, remind me a little bit of Hellboy, the underground with Hellboy, all these different types of creatures. And here we have all these different types of dinos. Like, whoa, did we even see that one before? There's all around, and we know that's just going to get worse. So they've put it to bed, but there's no reason why we can't get much more in the future because now the world is totally saturated with dinosaurs.
Yes.
I'll stop talking about it now.
Well, you mentioned something that triggered. I mean, so Jeff Goldblum, yes, he steals everything. The subtle things that I loved, because there's at one point where he's like hot and he opens up his shirt just a little bit and there's a look. And he's like,
okay.
Yeah. And so he buttons it back up and the self-awareness of that I thought was wonderful. I mean, there are definite moments within this that I really liked. I mean, I think the thing maybe that was really disappointing for me is that for the dinosaur movie, or at least for a movie in a franchise that has been about dinosaurs, the central focus on this one wasn't on dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are the thing happening around.
Yeah.
But it
was about mutant crickets. Yeah. Mutant locusts, yeah.
Yeah.
Or
and you can
guy.
argue exactly. And you can argue that the corporate greed part of that has been present throughout a lot of this. So it's not so much the impetus within there. I mean, I buy that. That makes total sense because we see greed all the time.
But you didn't want that to be the focus. Yeah.
Yeah, I would. I don't know. Did you, when they came in, there's a scene, I'm going to try and be vague about this. Two characters go into this secure room and they're having to wear white. Okay, so you know the scene I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. Did that remind you of X-Files movie?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That could be Mulder and Scully for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. I just want to make sure it wasn't just me. So there you go. That's probably vague for everybody. Hopefully vague for everybody
else. We're doing spoilers anyway, so you're fine.
Well, this is true. But so anyway, yeah, it was like I had fun for what it was. I agreed that it's a monumental task to try and wrap up a trilogy or potentially a franchise. I think if I took my family and I paid full price, to see it during just prime time, I would have been disappointed because that would have been a lot of money output for this. Even though I had some fun with it, it becomes forgettable fun.
Yeah.
I think if I were going a matinee and I took the family, I would feel better about that purchase than if I went, later in the day and I added, $4 to each ticket.
Interesting. The cinema tickets here now are, for one chain particular, are standard throughout. And they're pretty cheap. Yeah, like $4.99 a ticket. Done.
Okay, so that's £4.99, which is probably what, like $7 American?
Yeah.
Okay.
If I was going into London to watch IMAX, different story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. You don't get to see movies here for less than $13.
Yeah. It used to be expensive, but I think the cinema people were stopping to. They just complained. It's like, I can't afford your concession prices and your cinema tickets. Choose one.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Well, gosh, I would love it if it was that price. That would be outstanding. Because if you get anything like XD through Cinemark, if you get IMAX are like $20.
Yeah, for sure.
A seat.
Yeah.
So it's definitely the upgrade. Now the experience is the upgrade also. I mean, when you especially go to IMAX, I mean, come on, that is butt rumbling and just chest pounding, and it's in. Can't even say the words. I mean, it's awesome. So definitely worth the upgrade for the right movie.
We've gone off on a tangent.
Yes,
on
sorry.
cinemas.
Have you talked all of that?
It's fine. We can move on from dinosaurs. Oh wait, I also got a notebook. But what's on my notebook?
Ooh.
I really want one. I want one in amber.
That would be really cool.
Yeah.
That would be.
And a walking
I bet
cane.
nowadays with the prevalence of resin,
you could do that.
Epoxy and stuff like that, you probably could. Now I don't know how you do get the mosquito itself and then get a big mosquito, which that was just terrifying.
That's terrifying. Yeah.
Don't do bugs, man. I do not do bugs. That is, so.
Okay, so what's next on your list?
The final thing I want to talk about was one that I got to see in the theater last weekend, and it was Vikram.
Yay!
It was this Indian movie that, which was the craziest thing, that I was literally the only person in my theater. Which, that was kind of disappointing, because everybody says, "Oh no, you need to watch it with an audience for the experience," and how the Indian audience responds. And I'm like, "Oh, that would be cool." I get there and literally nobody.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And I was like, oh, well, okay.
Well, I'm here now.
So here I am. Yeah, exactly. But I didn't know anything. I didn't know going into this. I didn't even know there was a prequel to it. Like there's a connected movie to it.
It runs alongside of it. So I think we're okay. Yeah.
I totally understood what was going on in the movie. So I didn't need it.
Yeah. I didn't feel like I'd missed
at some
anything.
point yeah, exactly. Yeah, I might go back to it. The camera work in this was really good. I loved some of the shots like we get before for me, it was before the intermission kicked in. There's this big fight between this masked unknown man and our police detective. Well, he's not really a police detective. I mean, he's a special black ops agent with his own team. But, chasing, and the camera just pushes in and pulls out as the attackers come at this guy. And I just thought it was really fun that way. It was a different way of filmmaking because it felt like rubbery. I guess that's really kind of the good term, because you would literally just fly in and then fly back out like you were being attacked, like the camera had been punched, and then it would spin around and then you get to see somebody else happen that way. And I mean, the story I thought was really engaging. I was highly impressed that there was barely any slow-mo.
Right? Yeah.
That was which I appreciated.
Yeah.
Now, and when they did do the slow-mo, it actually had an impact then. Because you would get to see this powerful punch or something, and then somebody would fly through and hit something or whatever.
I felt that the end was earned because we spent a lot of time getting there. Yeah.
Yes. There's one song, there's one music video type of thing, which comes at the very beginning. And it was, for an American audience, I was like, wow, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's funny, but I'm totally into it. I mean, it's not like it's bad. I'm just like, I don't even understand what's going on.
When he puts the shirts over his head, I'm like, Beavis and Butthead, what is this?
Yeah. And you watch all of them do that too, or they'll pull the shirt up into their mouth or something like that. And I'm
really
like, oh my gosh, this is great.
Odd dance.
If you watch though, towards the end of that dance, when they all pull up their shirt again, there's one dude behind the main guy out of all of them that forgets to do it. It was just funny. And so they didn't reshoot it because it was probably just a ton of work. Yeah, so it just made me chuckle there. But which I don't care about the goofs at all when they're like
they
that.
Add to it,
especially yeah, exactly. And it was in the background, so I mean, who cares? But when we get towards the final act of the film, where you get these title cards that come on, the first one that happens, where I was like, well, that's really weird. We've not seen anything like this up until this point.
They really embrace it, don't they?
Yeah, it was like, what in the world's going on? And then it goes minutes without ever happening again. And I'm like, well, that was really out of place. And then boom, boom, boom. And I'm like, yeah.
Because it's the team that they're built, and they're really making a big deal out of it. It's like, oh, this is who they are. Yeah, I get it now.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, totally. I loved the movie. I thought it was so much fun. And I do wish now, after coming out from it, that I could have seen it with an Indian audience.
I bet it's like watching Endgame at the cinema and people just cheering and when their heroes on screen, especially because there's some actors that people love to see, which we don't get. There's no history there. But when we're seeing Tom Cruise or someone that does something spectacular, I knew it, Endgame. It'd be like that. Yeah.
Oh, so tell me, what are your thoughts on the movie?
Man, I think I wasn't sold right at the beginning. I wasn't quite in awe as you were with the song at the beginning, and that did take me out of. I was like, what is this? But then it really started getting into the story, and I thought, okay, they're not going over the top. There were a couple of action scenes, but it wasn't quite like I was expecting. Yeah. And then there was this one fight scene in the house with the baby. I think that's probably where we're getting towards the end now. Last hour of the film.
Yeah.
Always got it. And it was great action, really good hand-to-hand. Didn't know who was going to survive. Best babysitter in the world before he arrives. I was like, damn, that was a cool... She was badass!
Totally, out of the blue, too. You're like,
yeah. I didn't see that
wow.
coming. Yeah.
No, not at all.
But then he arrives, and the dude is getting injured. I quite like that as well. Like, he's not immortal. He doesn't avoid everything. Some of these bigger, hyper-realistic films we're seeing, like, the guys don't get touched, right? This one is like, he's getting stabbed, he's getting beaten, he's getting floored. Somehow the baby is still alive, but the baby's in peril. But there's this moment where he it's like completes the fight scene. He's in the Jeep. It's like, damn it, I need the bottle. And I'm like, no, you're not actually going back for the bottle. Like, yeah, I am. And I was like, yeah, I love this movie because they take themselves seriously, but then they alleviate the tension with a little bit of comedy that's not slapstick, but works. Like, you just catch it. But what cemented the brilliantness, I'm not sure that's a word, is when they start.
Totally, it's a word.
When they start using the old school weapons. So we get to, okay, bit of spoilers here. There's a big chain gun right at the end in this cargo thing, and you're like, are they actually going to use that? You're like, and all the guys arrive in their jeeps and like, oh crap, they're in a lot of trouble here, and like they throwing stuff, and he comes up. The one scene where he's pulling it out, he's trying to save his team, and they're in peril, and some of them are getting injured, and the baby's in there, and then he just goes boom, boom, but you feel the boom, 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 and you believe the impact of what it has. It's like, that's not something we see a lot of. Everybody's like, fancy weapons, kind of new and improved, but this is it felt almost better use of weaponry there, because they were going for the, what am I trying to say? They're going for the more realistic, grounded film. So there is hyper realistic, and there is some sort of plot protection, obviously. But because it's some of this old school, like metal containers that are slightly rusty, cars that aren't quite working that well, their van that they're in is not quite upkept, and then they have these old school weapons, and for an old school dude, because he's not exactly a young hero, is he?
No.
Which I also liked. I thought that was great.
Well, and that was, I probably should have seen some of the twists coming.
Yeah.
But I was along for the ride. Like, I don't know about you, but I was fully loving, and I can't remember his name now. I'll have to look it up really quick. But the Black Ops guy, like, I loved his whole persona that he had in this. What is it? Amar. So he is this badass guy, and he's not what you would expect when you look at him. Like, from a physical perspective, I mean, he's not fat, he's not skinny, but he's not muscular either. I mean, he's a smaller man who is kind of unassuming, but he's very confident in his skills, and he is smart, and he has surrounded himself with an excellent team. And so to watch the whole detective story at the beginning of the film, that's, the first, more than half of the movie, I guess maybe the first two acts are this, this detective type of,
it kind of is. It's like it's mystery, a weird, right? Almost, we thought it was serial killer, but it's a weird. Yeah. And then there's the
murder mystery.
Murder mystery. We're dealing with the drug dealer as well, who, by the way, is creepy as heck.
And when he takes that specialized drug, I mean, it's like,
it changes personality, not just strength. He is more crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a little bit like Limitless, like it has a time limit to it, but you're more. Yeah. And it was, I thought that was really creative.
Very
too,
cool.
That it just,
that fight scene between them was so brutal.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, and the jail scene too, before that, when they just, that's the thing. I think every time we got these hand-to-hand battles, that they felt good. They were exciting to watch. They were immersive. And the camera work too did a really good job of putting us into it and not doing a ton of quick cuts. Yeah. I mean, there are moments where there are some quick cuts, and I think you can't not ever do those sometimes, because I think sometimes they add a little bit to the excitement, but but you also need to be able to see, I want to watch our actors do these
moves. I could see what was going on, which I appreciate. So you can be creative, but you also let your audience enjoy that, like what you put together.
Yes. So I am, I didn't watch, I don't think I watched a trailer for this one. It was more of just everybody's recommendation, this one. And it happened to be playing near me. That was the other thing, that, a lot of the recommendations that we've been getting, they're not playing near me. And so I don't get to see them, which is unfortunate. Or if they are playing like somewhere near me, they're playing at ridiculous times. And like I'm either working during the week, so I can't do that, because it's like at 11 a.m. on a weekday, and I'm like, well, I have a job, I can't go and just do that. Or they're like at 10 o'clock at night on a weeknight, and it's a 2.5 hour to 3 hour film, and I can't be getting home at 2 a.m. to get up to go to work at 6 and the next day. So anyway, I was very thankful that this one was playing, and walking out of this, like I just was like, that's so much fun. So the way that it wraps up too, that there's a
sequel coming.
Yeah, that more should be coming. Yeah. And so, and like you said, we don't necessarily know the history or the popularity of some of these actors, because we don't have the longevity of them. But one of the guys that was featured in the finale is supposedly, I guess, a really, really big actor.
Yeah, I think that was a big deal. So, yeah.
So, which, while that doesn't necessarily resonate with me to make me more excited, the story that came from this one, I'm fully on board with. I want to watch. So I'm like, cool. Yeah, whenever the next one comes out, I'm there. It'll be a lot of fun.
Nice. Okay, so moving on.
Yes.
I think this is possibly the best thing I watched this week. And it was a singular episode, and it was Miss Marvel. Did you get to watch this?
I haven't gotten a chance yet, but I've heard nothing but great things about it.
Chris, you need to change that. Man, I was trying to equate to why I felt it was so good. Because it's not like it's great in special effects. It's not... I haven't seen it do anything different to some of the superhero series. I do think, just from episode 1, it is the best Marvel series we've had so far. But
really,
because the pilot made me absolutely love and care about the family. So it's about her, and I love what it does for the culture. But it immediately endeared me to like almost all the characters. Like, I am rooting for them. But they have such a great dynamic that you care for the family. You want the daughter to not rebel so much against her mom and dad, but you also want her to find her own uniqueness, because she's at that age of what my identity is, and obviously at some point there's going to be something to do with superpowers, because she's a superhero, she's Miss Marvel, and how she gets that. There's been a lot of kind of flack from the die-hard miserable fans because they changed how she got the powers, or even her powers. I didn't find an issue with that, but I'm not a die-hard fan. I felt in every way this felt fresh. Here we go. The dynamic you get in Mitchells versus the Machines from the family is what I felt in the pilot of this episode. That's so for me, they got that right. So if you get the family dynamic right, you get the quirkiness, the humor, the culture that they didn't shy away from, rather they just embraced it. That is what I want going forward. So that was one TV episode that I really enjoyed. The other one, again, with me diverting the path of being different from what everybody else likes. I wasn't a huge fan of the first 3 episodes of Obi-Wan. Absolutely loved episode 4. Thought it was the best Star Wars. When I was watching, I was like, this is Star Wars. Now I feel like I'm watching Star Wars. Best Obi-Wan experience so far in this episode. It's like, yeah, everything he's doing now, and finally waking up a little bit with the Force and seeing Obi-Wan kind of come alive again with the use of that. I've really enjoyed it. Nice. Did you see that one?
I'm behind on that one also.
Okay, you've got some fun stuff to watch, Chris.
Yeah, no, I've been looking forward to both of those. I had 2 8-episode each series
Yeah.
that were each an hour-long episodes. So I had 16 hours to binge through
Good Lord.
this week, and I just didn't get a chance to see either of those. But I've heard wonderful things. I'm glad that you're enjoying them. I heard though that like my son, he watched both Ms. Marvel and Obi-Wan, and he was telling me, he was like, "Oh my gosh, Obi-Wan was great, but it was so short.
Yeah,
like I wish it was longer.
38 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the one thing, and because I haven't watched this episode, so it's not a criticism on the episode itself. I just, when you're going to do like a series that's only 6 episodes, I would really like hour-long minimum.
Considering how many years we've waited to get the story of Obi-Wan. Yeah.
Yeah. I just think that especially when you do it weekly releases too, that give the audiences this event. You know what I mean? And make the event worth the wait.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, because the story can be that, but let me the time also, because I 38 minutes, that's not long.
No, you
that's
want more.
So short.
Yeah. I know there's this leave the fans wanting more, but also leave the fans satisfied.
yeah. Because I think with an hour of Obi-Wan, if it's done well, you're still going to leave everybody wanting more.
Yeah,
right? Because we love the character, want to be in his world and see what's going to happen next. Okay. Yeah, I definitely need to check out both of those to catch myself up. So
yeah,
good to hear.
Do you have anything else on your list?
Not on the best thing. I do want to talk briefly though about something that I am disappointed with, if I may.
Yes.
Okay.
Is this what I think it is?
Yeah, okay. So Netflix had, and I didn't have high hopes for this, but I went in with an open mind, especially because I thought the series is called First Kill.
Yeah.
Okay. It's the lesbian Romeo and Juliet vampire monster series.
Yeah.
None of that bothered me. That actually, all of that is what intrigued me about the show.
Let's see what you do with this. Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be kind of a different take on things. I'm curious at how this is going to be. I'm totally good with that. I think the inclusion and the representation I thought that was great. I think this is fine. It didn't feel forced to me. I mean, come on, we're redoing a story. You know what I mean? That's been done time and time and time and time again.
Yeah.
So whether it's zombies or whether it's, truly stage presentation, it's Baz Luhrmann's, modern era looking type of thing. It doesn't really matter. You're taking a story and you're gonna put a different type of spin on it while keeping the Romeo and Juliet story as its central theme. And so, well, there's a lot that I didn't like about this. There truly is. I couldn't get behind the writing, the dialogue, even the acting, and I think it's a lot of it was the direction of the acting.
Yeah.
Because come on, they're the ones that have the final say over a scene.
Yeah.
And so it just it either felt forced or it felt like comical in areas that it shouldn't be comical, like ridiculousness. The problem though that I have, the biggest one, I think. Is that we have 8 episodes. They're each about an hour-ish, somewhere maybe 40 minutes, 45 to an hour-ish. Doesn't really matter. When we get to the finale, nothing has been resolved. I literally feel like I'm in the middle of a season. And that bothers me.
I believe that's where they should have started. Because I think everything that comes before, we could play catch up on as an audience through small flashbacks, through the this is how we fell in love, this is why we're together now. But the interesting story here is not the main arc. It's not them. It just isn't. The interesting story for me is the brother that is off the hinges with his partner. That little bit that we get at the end of what they're showcasing, the lore of behind that. So, minor spoiler, but for an example, the zombies, they're super fast. And I thought that was really interesting. Not like, I don't mean like they can sprint. I mean like they have the speed that vampires should have in this series.
Yes.
Why have they messed with the vampire powers as well? Like, she couldn't pick up a body. She is a vampire, and she is from the original like pure blood. She should be really strong. Like there's just some basic stuff as vampires that you should have. She couldn't even pick up a body. Why was that difficult for her? That really bugged me. I was like, I don't get it. Why aren't you fast? Like, what powers do the vampires actually have?
Oh, that funny. That didn't bother me because they were establishing lore as it went along, like how she could be a daywalker.
Yeah, I mean, they did call her a daywalk. Yeah, and her spit. There was something different about that. Yeah.
Yes, I thought that was really unique too. Like I've never
Twilight has
heard
that.
What it does, where it kind of
when it bites you.
Okay.
Yeah, when they bite them. Yeah,
and it paralyzes you or something like that. Oh, okay. Well, no. So see, I didn't remember that. So to me, it was unique.
That's because it's Twilight.
Unique, so
That's
there
fine.
you go. Yeah. Well, this is true. The maybe this was explained, but how did how does one turn into a vampire? Because like, okay, this is a big spoiler, so I'm sorry if you've seen it, but at the end, a character is bitten by a legacy vampire.
Right.
And that character dies and then is bitten. Oh, no, excuse me. The character is dying and is then bitten by a legacy vampire and then becomes a vampire. So that makes sense to me from what we've seen in other vampire movies, right? You're bit by a vampire, you become a vampire, but you have to do something. You have to feed within a certain amount of time from your original vampire. But when we saw all the other times where a human was bitten by a vampire, they didn't turn into a vampire.
That's true.
So I don't know how this person all of a sudden.
Well, okay, so he was. Let's work it out. He was almost dead. One vampire,
Yes.
and he was saying, "Please help me." And then she gives him blood.
She bites.
She
bites him first.
Oh,
That's
she
how
bites
when
him.
the flashback,
Oh, okay.
she bites him in the bathroom, and then the reason he's all nuts is because he hasn't fed. So that's when she gives the arm, and that the whole boom 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 reveal comes, and we already.
Yeah,
know
I don't get it
anyway.
then. That's stupid. Okay.
So
I don't know,
because we see I just want the logic in that. I don't really care how you explain it. Just explain it to me, and then I'll be good to go with that. I'm willing to accept it. I just, because we see other humans multiple times being bitten by legacy vampires, and one of two things happen. They either die or they just walk around, and they're not vampires. They don't die. They don't do, nothing happens. So I don't. Even in that, then
I've got to say, I felt really racist watching this series. It made me feel like I was a racist. And I know people are going to be like, "Whoa there, Ruben, what are you saying?" I didn't understand the logic of making all the vampires white and making all the hunters African American. Like, I was trying to rack my brains of throughout the episodes, I don't think there was one white hunter at all. So they've.
Oh, there was the handler guy who
was
he was
handler?
part of their. I don't remember.
Don't
his
think he was
name.
white though. He was. Who was he?
I thought he was white. I think he was just a fat white dude.
Oh, okay. I don't remember that. Because their extended family that come and visit him, they're African American.
Yeah.
It seems like all the hunters are African American or maybe Spanish? Like, who was the guy
I
that
thought
was...
some of them were Asian.
Oh, I didn't see any
wait,
of that.
Spanish?
Yeah. So, Ruben only sees...
Oh, yeah. No, there was a Spanish guy also. Yeah, I don't know. I would have just more diversity within both of the groups. I think would have been nice.
I don't get it. That's weird. But maybe
I could see
they were trying to stick to the Montague and Capulet, so really trying to divert that for the Romeo and Juliet story.
Maybe. I mean, I could see from the vampire's perspective, because I mean, think about it, like, especially like the family that we follow. I mean, they're white. They're living in Georgia, in the deep South.
True.
They've been there for a really long time. I mean, that.
I guess. I mean, we do see a little bit of the extended family, but if we were to see other families around the world, there must be vampires of color, right? They just
I would think so.
They just didn't have that in this series.
Yeah.
But I felt it's gonna sound bad. I thought the acting was better on the vampire side. Not great, but like we have a traditional actress who's the mother. She was great. She had some good presence to her. Do you know what I'm talking
Elizabeth
about?
Mitchell?
Elizabeth Mitchell.
Yeah.
Like normally I can be like, okay, she's on. This should be okay. But the other side, the hunters, like we've got the mother who's very stoic or shouty. We've got the father who's barely there, who shows some emotion. But then we've got the brothers who are just like, one's the jock brother and the other one is, I don't like you brother, who are, you're our sister, so we're going to be antagonistic to you. They were so roughly written that I was like, what is this? I'm watching something from the 80s or late 80s or 90s sitcom series. It doesn't fit in this. Why have you made them caricatures of people that don't actually exist? They're not real. Like, I need to mold them and give them some actual definitions. And it wasn't until like episode 7 and 8 that I actually start caring, because there was decent development in their characters then.
Yeah. I liked the dad of the vampire hunters or the monster hunters. I liked his character a lot. I thought he was the warmest out of all of them, that he had like conflict and level-headedness all within there. Like he was the one who was able, I mean, he felt more real, I think, than any extreme. Like, you know, the brothers were definitely the just the ridiculous machismo type of thing. The mom, while you understood her passion, and she definitely had the mama bear part of her, that there was also just she was fierce, but in an unbending way that became cold.
Yeah, it didn't make sense to me. Like, I just didn't believe it. Like, you can't be that all the time.
Yeah, and I didn't like Elizabeth Mitchell as a character. She was off-putting to me because I just, I don't know.
See, I didn't like the husband. I was just like, what are you?
Well, I thought he was adult.
Yeah.
You know, there was really something on the vampire side of it. Yeah, on the vampire side, I didn't really like anybody. I mean, I could.
You didn't like the
Juliet
sister?
and the Calliope. Oh God! Well, to laugh at.
Yeah.
Yes,
it's
absolutely.
Ridiculous.
Because she was. I mean, she is exactly like the brothers.
Yeah.
On the
absolutely.
Monster Hunter, just in a different way.
Yeah.
I mean, she is the
I'm from the
over
South
the top
way. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't want this series to be renewed. I want it to be canceled because I don't think it was good. But at the same time, I wasted 8 hours to get midway through a story where literally nothing has happened. I mean, we have conflict in the middle between Juliet and Calliope. We have a story just beginning where it's like you said, this is where the story should have started.
Yeah.
And then everything that came before that could have been done in flashback as the story progresses, because now we have gotten to the point where some kind of nefarious plot is being crafted here, but none of it is resolved.
There was a moment this series started going down the supernatural route, like the TV series Supernatural, where I thought it was going to be vampire and hunter together defeating supernatural thing for like episode of the week, and I thought, do that could work. That could get you 6 seasons down the line and people like, this is progress, has gone so far. But then they didn't embrace that. I was like, oh man,
because they have a common enemy, right? Because the vampires don't want to be discovered.
No.
The monster hunters have a job to do, and because because their daughters within the families are in love, they have a common bond there. And then more, we find out there's even a deeper now common bond between them. But yes, that would have been fun. That would have been an engaging arc to watch. Now they have to go and defeat these things, you know. And then the
Snake Man,
the monsters, Snake Man.
That's what I call him now, without doing spoilers.
Dude,
we got Snake Man.
That I laughed out loud.
Yeah, me too.
I laughed out loud, like, and not in a good way.
What is this? Why?
And there is no blood or anything anywhere. Like, there's just anywhere. I felt that they did a good job of showing the ridiculousness of humans and the whole witch hunt type of thing. I thought it was too absurd to really get behind it and to feel anything other than laughability at it, because it was so over the top that, like, think about The Boys. The Boys does some of these similar things where you have this witch hunt going on, but it feels more natural. And it rides that line of absurdity, but yet uncomfortableness because it's touching so close to reality. This one just became stupid. Like the ma'am movement, and I'm like, what in the world? Mothers Against, what was it? Something monsters. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. Who cares?
I was gonna say, would people really be that stupid to think that untrained they can go take on entities that are super powerful that feed on you? And the answer is yes, they would. That would actually happen. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I wasted 8 hours on this. This is why I didn't get to see Ms. Marvel or Obi-Wan.
Oh my gosh.
Because this was one of the series that I was binging to get. Yeah. And I just, oh well. Okay. Rant over, I think.
Well, let's finish on a surprised high note.
Okay.
For this, and then we'll dive into the audio bits. But there was a trailer for Prey, an official trailer. And I could not believe what I was watching, because I was like, this looks good.
Right?
How does this look good?
Yeah. Now I am a little, I'm a little bummed that they're speaking English.
But did you see they announced this week that they're going to be doing the whole film, for those that want to, in Comanche, in...
Oh, really?
Yeah, and the actors
in the native language with subtitles?
With the subtitles, and the actors have all come back to do it in their own native language.
That's the version I'm going to watch.
So you can watch either one. And I was like, genius.
Yes, no, that I'm so glad for that, because that's the version I want to watch. I want to hear it in their native language, because I thought it just adds a realism to it.
But that's going to be weird though, because that's because they've already spoken in English, so they're dubbing themselves.
Yeah, which is going to be unfortunate that it's a dub that way, which I don't normally do, but I think I may have to. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it'll be too off and it'll just bother me. But
it looks good.
The cloud thing, where it's like burning through the cloud, or whatever that was. I was like, ooh, this looks. I'm shocked. I mean, honestly, and I don't know if it's because I had such low expectations.
It's because of the last one. We're like, anything looks better than that now.
Right. But this, you know what? And I saw some people in the comments being like, you know what? I'm down for this. Put the Predator throughout time and let's see how, they react in that. And I'm like, okay,
that could work.
We'll see how this is actually executed.
Yeah.
But the trailer had me excited to check this out now. I'm surprised.
I was just like, all right. And that comes out fairly soon, I believe. So,
in July, I believe, right?
Yeah. Just a few weeks away.
Yeah, and I was curious at, how are you going to take on the the Predator with
a bow and arrow,
spears and bows. But then you have I love the visual of something being lifted up, but they don't get to see what it is, and they're like freaking out, and then the 3 dots appering on the guy, and
But you got to remember, Arnie took it on with a bow and arrow, so.
Well, but then he had the chopper also. So.
Get to the chopper.
Oh, but no, I am looking forward to this. I'm glad you brought this up, because I think this is thank you. Good thing to end on, because this was a fun trailer to look at and made me excited for the movie. Yeah.
All right.
Cool. Well, hey, we thank you for watching. Let us know what are the best things that you watched. Talk to us in the comments. We'd love to hear it. You can always tweet at us at Best We Watched. Please do check out our Patreon opportunity at patreon.com/thebeardedones. This week we're talking about some of the worst movie posters that we've seen. And you've got some doozies there, I think, are just going to be. But then next week, we're going to talk about the best things. And I'm excited. I'm actually excited to talk about this because I have a graphic design background from my professional life. So some of these, for me, spark a different reason of why I think they're terrible.
Nice.
And some of it is just because I hate the movie. And so
that's not fair.
So
you like
seeing the poster,
it brings up those feelings of passion.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Oh goodness. Oh, but we thank you so much for watching. You can head over anywhere you listen to podcasts, wherever you do that. If you've never listened to podcasts, just look in the description. We'll link the full audio version where we talk about news, things that we're looking forward to coming up this week. In this show, we're talking a ton of news and a ton of the shows that are being released on Netflix and movies, content that came about as a result of Netflix's Geeked Week. So, yeah, you head over there if you want. Click in the link below. Like, share, subscribe. We appreciate it. Ruben with the Ruby Tuesday. I'm Chris with Movies and Munchies. We'll see you next week. Oh, wait. Oh, who? I don't even want to explain this.
Oh no. What has been happening? 1 week. I leave you for 1 week, Chris.
I know. I found that on Amazon. I don't even know why it popped up, but it was like some mouth exercise thing that was meant to, I think, help like not jaw muscles, but like wrinkles or something like that. Right. Not that I was worried about that because my chubbiness takes care of those, but it is. Look at that! It is wildly inappropriate.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
I mean, that is just.
It doesn't conjure up anything fun.
No.
Well, everything
so
R-rated,
I had it laying. Yeah. Right. Yeah, and beyond. Yeah, I'm choosing to believe it. It really is what it said it was for, and not something else that I just.
Wow.
Oh, that's so wrong.